terrible things, but this one doesn't seem to be the truth. So we have all these convoluted explanations, which indicates that they were stuck with a guy who came from Galilee when he should have been born in Bethlehem. So they had to make all this, they had to work around all of that. So I'm saying that if he didn't exist, if they just made him up, they wouldn't have had to have done that.
Another reason I've always thought this might be a good reason for believing that Jesus was a real figure is the prophecies that they pull from the Hebrew Bible to try to say, hey, look, Jesus is a fulfillment of this. It seems like they're really reaching with a lot of those prophecies, where if you just made him up, you could tailor him to whatever prophecy you wanted.
Yeah, they could. Of course, he could still not exist, and they could ransack the Old Testament for prophecies, but...
That's true. I just think they would have done a better job of it.
Yeah. Quite true.
What about the criteria of embarrassment also used by New Testament scholars?
Yeah, that's, I would say, less effective than the criteria of difficulty, but criteria of embarrassment is when they mentioned Tacitus talking about these people following somebody who was crucified under Pilate, that, you don't say, oh, our leader was a condemned criminal. So that's the idea of that. Of course, if it's a group that's opposing Rome, they might glory in the fact that he was somebody who was put to death as a criminal. But it's very indirect evidence, and I would not be utterly devastated to learn that Jesus didn't exist. It's quite possible he didn't exist. I think there was a real guy, and that all this myth was added to him, and of course, the Christian religion is largely the invention of Paul. So,
yeah, I think so too. But that's a controversial claim, and it's not easy to prove. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of scholarship, and it's not going to fit well with any kind of simple conspiracy theory. And that really does seem to be his goal. He wants to prove this is all one big plot by the Roman government to use religion to control people. It's just a religious conspiracy theory.
Yeah. And, of course, the other two parts of the film are conspiracy theories, too. I think we should mention something. Mm-hmm. Part one of Zeitgeist is really based almost entirely on the writings of a lady by the name of Dorothy Murdoch, who goes by the name of Acharya S., and she wrote a book called The Christ Conspiracy and so on, and that's where he gets his real stuff. When I wrote my article on Zeitgeist, I got a rather thundering critique from her about how sloppy my scholarship was and so on, and then and so I rebutted her and on my website and various other things. I took her fairly seriously, but it appears that she's really got a very small following, and she based her stuff on some kind of idiosyncratic 19th century writings. They were by people who were rather brilliant, but who invented a bit along the way. So that's why there's a mix of truth and fiction in there, and elaborations where they should not have been.
And that's the point, really. There's no problem with challenging Christian origins, and there's a lot of information that does so. But the important thing is that we do this with respectable, proven methods of academic scholarship. And if we are weaving conspiracy theories, that gives the apologists fodder for attacking us.
Absolutely. That's, I think, one of the worst problems is that... and I've found a number of fundamentalist websites where they have really lit into Acharya S, and they can pretty easily point out a lot of weaknesses. The main weakness is that the complete disregard of messianic myth and the fact that a lot of the mythology of the Gospels comes from Judaism. The miracle stories, all of Jesus' miracle stories are based on, well, a few are based on pagan things, notably turning water into wine, and the Gospel of John is based on something done by Dionysus, the temple in Elis, where miraculously they would put jugs of water or amphorae of water in the temple, and they would lock it up, and then in the next morning they'd open it up, and lo and behold, there was wine there. So that's a pagan one, but mostly his miracles are elaborations of miracles done by Elijah, Elisha, and Moses. And so ignoring that, I think, is one of the great flaws here, that there was a mythology ready-made within Judaism. You didn't have to go too far for too much pagan mythology.
Well, Tim Callahan, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And where can our listeners learn more about your books and your articles?
I have a website, timcallahan.info. Tim Callahan is one word, .info, I-N-F-O. There's also a forum attached to that.
Excellent. And I would definitely, once again, recommend both of Tim Callahan's books, Bible Prophecy and The Secret Origins of the Bible, both very excellent books, I believe, from Millennium Press.
Right. That's the book publishing arm of the Skeptic Magazine. And also on May 1st, I will be debating Dr. Hugh Ross in a church in Fullerton. I don't have
Reasons to Believe.
Reasons to Believe, yes.
He's a favorite on the show.
Oh, he is. Great.
Is he still peddling his probabilities of prophecy being fulfilled?
Apparently so, because I'm going to be debating him on the subject of biblical prophecy. One thing I do like about Hugh Ross is he is, I believe, a man of integrity and a decent soul. Some people on that line I'm really doubtful about, like Hal Lindsey. I think he was just in it for the profit.
Right.
Not P-R-O-P-H-E-T, but P-R-O-F-I-T. And so I'll be debating him in Fullerton on May 1st. I'll try to put information on where it is when I find out, when the time of day and all that on my website. Anyway, thank you very much for having me.
Yes, well, thank you, and good luck on your upcoming debate.
Thank you very much.
All right, and now it's time to turn once again to our shit list. This is where we heap scorn on those who need it and occasionally give praise and props to others, although usually, lately, it's been a lot more shit than props.
Maybe it's just me.